and welcome to Universal Love Law. Today I'm going to make the very first video for my theme, and it's going to be about void attachments, okay? So there, I believe, will be 7 videos where I'm going to talk about how we attach to relationships based on voids, specific voids, and how just becoming aware of that, the void that we have within, we can observe the relationships that we have to see if we're utilizing it to fill a void in that area. Okay, so the very first one is going to be loneliness. Okay, so loneliness is a phase that every human that reaches above 30 will face, because there's periods in our life that are waiting room periods where we have to be patient, we have to evolve, we have to grow, and that requires solitude or isolation. So this is very hard for people who have had a lot of validation all their life, large friend circles, or very close-knit families. Because when they go through these stages of their life where they're called into isolation in order to evolve, they recognize that they're lonely. Now, this is even harder for people who were born lonely, maybe introverted, or maybe they have a soul contract, an agreement where their alignment requires them to have less or fewer interactions with humans, with people. I notice this a lot when I see that a person's chart has not too many aspects in their astrology chart. So people that have all of these aspects, I'm talking about kites and many trines, many squares, many oppositions, all of these geometrical patterns, we recognize, okay, there's a lot of energy this person has and is coming into the world with, and they're going to have many, many interactions. Also, depending on your chart, your house placements, a lot of people that have Saturn in the 12th house, like myself, they are very isolated in the world, and it's a karmic lesson. Okay, people that have Saturn in the 7th house as well, they may be surrounded by people but feel alone. So this goes for anyone, even those who are unaware about astrology and the chart, your natal chart, and all of those things. People that are just born very isolated, introverted, or in solitude, they may have a lot of spouts of loneliness. And that doesn't exempt them from creating void attachments. Because once we recognize that, when we look around us and we see these smiles on other people's face, especially in the digital era where there's social media, we can see other people's lives and compare and contrast it to ourselves. And then we begin to dissect our life and judge ourselves. We're so hard. We're our greatest critics, and we judge ourselves, and then there's many people like that will use words to hurt you, to put you down. Like, that's why nobody likes you. That's not why nobody loves you. All of these things, I've heard it all. I've had my children's father told me, that's why you're alone now. And a lot of people ask me, like, why are you single? Like, what's wrong with you? And it's like, don't get it twisted, because I got some booze, okay? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's like I have access to people. It's just my soul purpose. I didn't have in my soul contract to have my early life experience super attached to a person. They were all formed to destroy. Like, I agreed to have relationships in my early childhood experiences that would have a peak and then fall, and it would be no more of the relationship. And that was to teach me something. So there's many reasons why, right? I could go on and on and on about why a person experiences lonely. But what happens when a person begins to feel that loneliness with a relationship? So this is my first void attachment theory video. So loneliness will cause us to attract because we vibrate on a certain frequency, right? If you're at a level in your soul evolution that requires you to do a lot of internal reflection, a lot of times these are very advanced souls that have to experience a lot of long periods of being alone and learning how to go within and love thyself, cultivating all of those inner balances, all of those inner securities that are meant to come from within in order to be a beacon of light and a role model for others, right? That's not an easy transition, and that's not an easy process because you begin to question yourself, like, what is wrong with me? So loneliness can cause you to emit a certain frequency, and depending on your vibration, right? Depending on your level of a consciousness and how you feel on a daily basis, you will attract people. I attracted people being in a stage where my soul frequency is very advanced. It required me to have a lot of isolation in life. But when I was vibrating in lower frequencies of shame, fear, and guilt because of the separation of me and my children's father, and me having to separate from my children in order to get on my feet, I was vibrating very low, even though my frequency was very large and very aware. I had a lot of spiritual knowledge, but I couldn't find the peace inside of myself. So I began to cultivate relationships with other people who had similar vibrations, not similar frequencies. We were not on the same level spiritually, but we were definitely on the same level vibrational wise, very low vibrational. And so this is where the void attachment comes into us, right? Loneliness can cause you to form relationships with people that validate you, validate your deepest fears, validate your belief systems that you are unworthy of love or that you don't deserve love, right? But that's so far from the truth. When you realize that you are whole and complete with or without anyone, and your presence, your life force, you just being there is literally all you need to do. That's all you need to do to connect with others. You don't have to go above and beyond to prove yourself to the world or to people in order to have those connections, right? And so loneliness, I digress. Loneliness can cause you to attract based on how you're feeling, right? Based on your vibration. Your vibration tells it all. You will attract people, if you're in a lonely stage of your life, others that feel that void. So now what's happening is you have all these beliefs that you are worthy now because this person has stepped in your life, and maybe they're showing you love in a way where they're spending more quality time with you. Maybe they're taking you out on dates. Maybe you guys are doing things. It could be friends, right? False friends. And a lot of times you know that. And I want to make sure that people say that right person, wrong timing is not true. Everything happens in divine timing. Now, that's my own personal belief. Excuse me, allergies. I could literally show you all the pollen. I'm in Sacramento and it's, oh my God, it's just flying right now. But, yeah, like, people come into your life at the perfect timing. It's never the wrong time. So that person came into your life maybe to teach you a lesson about loving yourself, so that you don't use this relationship to fill the void within you. Because the moment this person lets you down, the moment this person pulls away, the moment this person maybe they may be awakening, maybe their vibration is lowering because they're being overtaken by their own negative belief systems and self-concept that makes them more negative to be around, dangerous even to be around. So loneliness is a void that only you can feel. And if you use things, substances, people to fill that void, it will never be fulfilled. So yeah, like I said, your loneliness can be caused by your own soul's contract while you were, well, it always is a part of the soul contract. On a higher frequency, yes, your higher self agreed to this. But sometimes life events can cause us to go through stages of loneliness where we attract people, and you can speed up and fast forward your soul's growth based on your consciousness awareness. So if you know that you are in a relationship with someone, or you have a connection with someone that is unhealthy and it's toxic, it's important for you to do the work, even if they don't. And it doesn't mean to cut those people out of your life. It just means that you learn how to begin to fill that void within yourself. Because if you put that responsibility on something external to fill your cup, you will forever chase that outside of you. And what happens when you don't have the ability to cultivate those higher frequencies or higher, vibrations of love, content, joy, and peace in solitude? What happens when you're unable to do that? You'll experience depression. You'll experience insecurities. You'll form these beliefs that are not healthy. And so I hope the conversation today helps you to realize that loneliness is one of the most common voids that people suffer from, that causes them to look for people outside of them to feel. And if you are a person that is lonely often, it might be for a greater purpose than what you think. And the moment that your soul begins to recognize this, your frequency will grow. Your consciousness, your awareness of self will grow. And then you'll begin to learn how to find the peace within your loneliness. Because when you change your perspective on your current state of being, you won't even use those words like lonely. You'll use those words more like solitude, right? Solitude is a beautiful thing. You're able to sit with yourself and you don't have any external distractions. So you hear all of the beliefs, whether they're positive or negative, that you have about yourself and others. There's a lot of growth that happens with people who chose a life of frequent solitude. It's not loneliness. You're not different because you are walking alone in your journey. In fact, when you embrace it and you find the peace within that, you become a beacon of light for those who are transitioning into that phase. Because we all have to walk a walk of solitude. It is the road less traveled. No one wants to go down that road because no one's on that road. Everybody's over there. So why would I go down that road? Because it might be a part of your destiny. It might be the key that sets you free. Because a lot of people, they get it too late. I see people that are older a lot of the times, and they are so clingy and needy, and they have so many deep rooted voids that they attach to people that they're not happy with. These are people that are hella old in relationships with people they don't even like. You don't even like this person, but you're married to them. And you say that's a good thing? Do you think your soul's going to say that when you die? When you go through your review? Of course it was a good thing because you learned the lesson. But do you think your soul's going to choose that in the next life? Absolutely not. Because you're going to see, oh my God, I chose a lifetime where I stayed attached to a person that I didn't even like. I sacrificed my happiness, my joy, my peace, just so that I wouldn't be alone. Because I was afraid of the unknown. Because I was afraid of being in solitude. So this is why it's so important for us to recognize the voids that we have. Recognize the root cause to that void. Meaning, maybe in your childhood you never had family. So now you are determined to have a family. And this is a lot in psychology. A lot of times people need validation through many, many reasons. Early childhood experiences where they've experienced a lot of neglect, people will have a lot of voids. So your childhood is really what is going to show you where the voids were created in the first place, right? And so if you had abandonment issues, it's a high chance that you'll attract a person to fill a void within yourself. So I hope this information was helpful, and I hope you work on this. I do have many other void focuses we're going to talk about and discuss. So have you experienced feeling a void with people in relationships due to loneliness? How did you heal through that? And how did you cultivate the joy within yourself to where now you just share your presence and energy with others versus needing others to feel whole and complete? Let me know. I hope you're having a great day.